Alright, hey there. This is future Jake coming in to kind of just give a preface about the video to come. So this is something that I made and I put together to air before the large amount of walkouts last Thursday against the Don't Say Gay bill across Florida. But insert anonymous high school name here didn't quite allow it to be aired. Whatever. That's the way it is. But so I still thought it was pretty good, and of course now it doesn't quite matter as much since the walkouts are done for now at least, and the Senate passed the bill, I think. Yeah, so the Senate passed the bill. And also Disney is like supporting the bill, so that's cool too. But I don't know. Of course, it still has room to be cut down. Just is going to be a slow burn from here. Oh, but now since it's on my channel instead of the high school channel, I don't give a shit. So I'll air my opinion. And admittedly, in the video, I try to make it unbiased to appeal more, but it's like, the arguments for the bill are just dog ass and just apathetic and inconsiderate, and it sucks. I mean, the bill just sucks. It's not good. But I don't know. I think this is a good informative piece about it, so I'm still airing it. Learn about it. Even though we can't do much right now, it's still something good to learn about. Today, we're here to talk about House Bill 1557. Which is also known by some as the Don't Say Gay bill. And you may be wondering, why are we talking about this? Why aren't we talking about, like, Ukraine? And the thing is that Ukraine, sure, it's a big deal, but it's not quite relevant to us here, whereas this is something more, like, impacting or about the schools. So we'll talk about it. All right, so just some background information about the bill before we get into it. The Senate sponsor of the bill is Dennis Baxley, who, for some previous information, in 2019, he sponsored legislation that would require schools to teach skepticism about evolution and climate change to, like, reduce conformity about it. He also said that schools should only teach civics and government content that strictly adheres to the founding values and principles of the United States, and he has also previously used some white nationalist rhetoric. All right, but the bill. It's a 7-page document, and in case you think this, or in case you think others think this, the bill doesn't actually prohibit people from saying gay in classrooms. The bill has a very vague wording throughout all of it, which means that due to normal government stuff, it's very open to interpretation, similar to like how the Constitution is constantly being interpreted in different ways. The main contentious point of the bill is that it will, quote, prohibit classroom discussion about sexual orientation or gender identity in certain grade levels or in a specified manner. It also says, quote, classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for schools in accordance with state standards. It also says that any records of students' mental, emotional, and physical health have to be completely open to parents. However, there is a caveat with that, in that it doesn't have to be open if there is concerns about abuse, abandonment, or neglect as a result of a parent seeing the records. The bill is very vague. It doesn't explicitly say much of anything, but it is expressly anti-LGBTQ, and it's not really just in the sex ed context, because there is an amendment proposed for the bill by Senator Jeff Brands to make it more sex education focused in hopes of breaking up the conflict about the bill. He was going to change it from sexual orientation or gender identity to human sexuality or sexual activity. His reasoning for this was that, quote, if the intent of the bill is not to marginalize anyone, let's make sure we aren't. This amendment to the bill was rejected in a vote, though, and Baxley, who was the proponent, said that it would gut the bill by changing those words. So let's discuss the perspectives of those who are supporting the bill. They say that it is championing parents' rights, which is, if you remember, the same legal and source and justification of the ban on school mask mandates that happened earlier in the year. They're saying that the anti-LGBTQ identity that the bill has taken on is a media distortion and that it's a misinformation campaign. They also argue that parents should have control over what their students learn in school, and they support it because it would allow parents to be informed of major changes in students' health or well-being, which of course includes sexual or gender identity. Now, on the other end of the spectrum is the perspectives of people who oppose the bill. House Representative Carlos Guillermo Smith, who is a Democrat and openly gay, said, quote, "We are in distress because this bill is yet another attack on our community. It sends a terrible message to our youth that there is something so wrong, so inappropriate, so dangerous about this topic that we have to censor it from class instruction." Opponents of the bill say that the broad language could leave districts open to lawsuits from parents who believe any conversation on the topic is inappropriate. Critics also say that the bill is a part of trends limiting conversation about LGBTQ topics in classrooms, passing in many states. There have been 3 states that have already passed this type of bill. 15 other bills are in consideration in 8 states. And in less than 2 months this year, state legislatures have filed more than 170 anti-LGBTQ bills, which is surpassing last year's total of 139.
I do want to ask you about Florida's Don't Say Gay bill. Your husband, Chasten, is speaking out against the legislation. He says in particular that it could lead to more suicides among LGBTQ youth. President Biden has slammed the bill as well. In your view, is this dangerous legislation?
Absolutely, yeah, and the reason is that it tells youth who are different or whose families are different that there's something wrong with them out of the gate, and I do think that contributes to the shocking levels of suicidal thoughts and suicide attempts among LGBTQ youth. You know, Chasten, my husband, pointed out that if our kids someday, some Monday morning, come into class and kids are sitting around, the teacher's got the morning circle talking about how everybody's weekends went, and one of them says, "I had the best weekend with my dad's." Is a teacher supposed to say, "No, we don't talk about that here"? Yeah. If it's at any age where it's appropriate to talk about a kid's mom and dad, then it should be appropriate to talk about a kid's mom and mom, or dad and dad, or whatever family structures we live with. That's part of what it means to be pro-family, is to be pro every family.
A large critic of the bill is the Trevor Project, which is a nonprofit and is seen as one of the leading LGBTQ organizations. They say, quote, "The bill has provisions that appear to undermine LGBTQ support in schools and include vague parental notification requirements which could effectively out LGBTQ identifying students to their parents without their consent." I'm also going to read off some of their related statistics from a 2021 survey that has been approved by an institutional review board. LGBTQ youth who had access to spaces that affirm their sexual orientation and gender identity reported lower rates of attempting suicide. Only 1 in 3 LGBTQ youth found their home to be LGBTQ affirming. And one of the most impactful ways that LGBTQ youth found joy and strength was from LGBTQ youth in school. So what do you think? You can take action either way if you want. If you want to support or oppose the bill, you can contact the school board at their office at 352-955-7546 or email all of them at boardmembers@gm.sbac.edu.